Eman has said, man, B, there are some things that is actually better than the movie. It shouldn't be that way, but it is this mid post credit scene, man. That's pretty amazing. We got the Council of the Kings. And while I am not a MODOK expert or Antman expert, I am neither a Kang expert. I know a little bit, but I'm gonna pass this to you, Eman. This guy was going crazy geek mode. I loved it during this scene right here where we got the Council of the Kings in the mid credit scene. I don't even remember the names, but there was a lot of them. At first, I was like, no, it was 100. But when I saw the second time, I was like, no, like thousands. It was a lot of them in there. Yeah. And they was like, hey, the one that we banished is dead. I was like, are you sure about that? Yes, I wouldn't have called you guys if I wasn't sure. So passing it to you, E-Man, how did you feel about the Council of the Kings for the mid-credit scene for this film, sir?
So I absolutely loved it. First and foremost, it's Black History Month, and we got Rama Tut, aka We Was Kangs, and I loved it because I cannot wait. That scene right there is literally what they replicated, and I thought it was just so good because just the whole, and this kind of adds to the complexity of Kang. Why is there even a council at all? There's a council because every time Kang goes back into time, he creates another variant of himself every single time, and he's never satisfied. He's always going back into time or forward in time, and every time he does that, another Kang pops up in another way, shape, form, or whatever. So at some point, they have to make a council. They have to come together. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. But I do think that this was what excited me about this, not only because of the representation, but also because of the possibilities. I mean, you just got a quick taste, maybe with 3-4 different Kangs of Jonathan Majors' range. My man literally had different voices for different Kangs. And that right there, I was like, I can't wait till you put this into action. I can't wait till we run into Rama Tut in his own movie, or, Immortus, who's looking like one of them, the Last Dragon villains or something, from a Bruce Lee movie, or Little Big China or something like that. He just looked like a great character, and I loved it that they adapted him. But the potential with all of this is what is definitely more exciting. And that's why I was saying it's sad that this post-credit scene had me more invigorated than the movie, because when we look at some of the greatest MCU movies, we're not thinking or talking about the post-credit scene as much as we're talking about the movie itself. You're not talking about the post-credit scene in Iron Man. You're not talking about the post-credit scene in Winter Soldier. You're not talking about the post-credit scene in Infinity War, for that matter. Like, it doesn't matter. The better the movie, the post-credit scene is just bonus. And in this case, the post-credit scenes was like way more exciting. Like, for me, I'm like, yo, I like the fact that this now connects more to Loki. It not only gets me excited for Loki season 2, but it makes more sense for Loki season 1. Because when you go back and rewatch the last episode, and Nathaniel Richards, aka He Who Remains, says, I ended the multiverse war. Now I'm like, oh, this is what he meant. He banished all of these Kangs somewhere, and now that's where they're at. And they made a council. It's almost like how when Loki met all of his variants in the Void, because they were just banished there. So now something similar happened with Kang. And now I'm like, okay, fill in the pieces. I can't wait for Loki season 2 to help me fill in the pieces. Where are they? What are they planning? What are they going to do now? What was so bad about the Kang we just saw that these Kangs had to gang up against them? Because Kang in the movie said that, or I think Janet had said that, like, not just that they exiled him, but they sabotaged his ship. So it's not like they was like, oh, you're just, we overpowered you. They somehow tricked him. So I'm wondering, like, wait a minute, was this Kang conquering all the other Kangs? Like, so many more questions are coming up now, and I'm hoping and waiting for them to answer these things. So yeah, for me, this gave me way more to chew on than the movie itself, and I'm here for it.
Right on. Elliot, how did you feel about the mid-credit scene, the Council of Kings, sir?
I mean, how do you follow that up, man? No, the excitement, enthusiasm I share with Eman there. As you just put up on the screen, yeah, ripped right out of the comic book pages, and just and I couldn't have said it better myself. The range on this man, Jonathan Majors, just knowing, and as an actor, I would imagine, obviously, if Kevin Feige and the power that be at Disney call you up and say, hey, we got an opportunity for you to work in this world, we would love for you to do this, there's excitement. Oh, I got a job, number one, right? And number two, I got this opportunity to put myself out there more, be a household name. But then as an artist, you want to be able to do something different, right? Because we're now, again, comic book movies have been around since, obviously big Superman movie in the 70s, was a drought in the 80s and 90s, and now we're in this renaissance of comic book movies. Every actor seems to be in comic book movies nowadays just to kind of get, whether it's their kids or just to get that paycheck. But then for someone, I feel like Jonathan Majors is such an actor's actor. He wants to challenge himself. And there's no other challenge than playing multiple versions of yourself. True. And I've seen multiple interviews, and I know you guys got the chance to talk to him on the red carpet, where he kind of compares being in this Marvel Cinematic Universe to being in a stage play. Every night you don't want to bring the same level of performance to every time you're on Broadway. You want to bring something new and fresh to the table. And that's what I see him doing with this opportunity to play all these different variant versions of himself. And it's just so invigorating, so challenging, so fresh, and so unique to be able to play different versions of yourself every time you see this character. So that to me is just so fun to be able to see this with this actor, to see him in this opportunity to be able to show his range and become that household name that he deserves to be. And that first mid-credit scene was just so awesome to see that, and to see, Immortus, and seeing Ramatat, which hopefully we get to see, if that Moon Knight season 2 comes about, maybe we get that version of Kang. And that's the beauty. He could be anywhere in the MCU. You never know. And we'll talk about the second one here in a second. But that first one to me was, I'm trying to think of the last time I was just loving a mid-credit scene. It's been a while. I'll be honest with you all. This was one of the better mid-post-credit scenes that we've seen in a long time, and it held weight to what is to come, and that is Jonathan Majors coming in the MCU in a very major way. So I love that first mid-post-credit scene.
Me too. I echo both of your sentiments. I am happy, excited, and scared at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like we sometimes haven't even scratched the surface of the MCU. When we get scenes like this, and I'm thinking about everything Kang is gonna mess up. We know Ultron is gonna be coming back, Gravitron, and we haven't even got to the X-Men, and like this is just so much. Yeah. Like this is a lot. This is a lot, and it's good. We have stories to tell for decades, before any reboot can be considered. So y'all, like you said, Elliot, this is one of the best mid-credit scenes, post-credit scenes I've seen in quite some time from the MCU.
And they're coming for the 616. They are coming.
And staying on you, Elliot, how did you feel about the post-credit scene, man? We usually get a serious scene and a joke, but we got 2 serious ones. This one seems like the follow-up to Loki season 2, but they are in the 19th century. I forgot the name that they had up there. If one of y'all remember, exactly who Kang was, but Loki was like, there he is. And Owen Wilson's character was like, oh my gosh, you made him seem like he's just some crazy wild threat. And he was like, he is. Yeah. So Elliot, man, how'd you feel about the post-credit scene, them being in the 19th century, where a Kang variant on stage? What does that mean as well?
Yeah, I think his name was Victor Timely, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's close.
And as I mentioned, and I'll mention it again, my favorite thing from the MCU out of Phase 4, as far as MCU shows, has been Loki. I love that series top to bottom. And we haven't, man, I can't think of the last time we gotten and I would imagine this is literally straight out of Loki season 2. This is a scene that we got from, and I can't think of the last time Marvel has done one of those things. Obviously, they did it with, was it the first Ant-Man that they did a scene out of Civil War with Bucky and Sam and Steve capturing Bucky? Anyway, I love when they do that. It just sets the tone, it sets the mood, it leads you with Marvel, the beauty of cinematic universes that leads one project leads to the next, and there's connective tissues, because all throughout Phase 4, post-credit scenes were just so random. It's just like, wait, when are we going to go back to Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings? And when are we going to go back to, Doctor Strange and the post-credit scenes there? It just seems so random. But this one actually feels like, okay, this is going in. Obviously, it's not Loki season 2, I think, is going to get Secret Invasion and then Loki. But all to be said, it's within 6 months that we're going to get the follow-up to that moment being built there. So seeing Mobius and seeing Loki, looking at Victor Timely, and like you said, Brandon, it's like, oh, he seems like a nice guy, and just seeing again, kind of like Janet in the film, that fear, like, no, he is someone we should be afraid of. He is someone should be taken down. So it just gets me, as I already was excited for season 2 of Loki, this just takes it over the top. So I am super excited to explore that new season, to explore that scene, and to get more of Jonathan Majors, man. So I think it's safe. And I don't know if y'all saw the clip of Kevin Feige. It was on the red carpet when you guys were there. Someone had interviewed him, the host had interviewed him, and he almost like slipped up and said, you know, and we already shot, and he stopped himself. So I would assume that was maybe alluding to, we already shot him for season 2 of Loki, or, you know, who knows, he might be in the Marvels, but I'm safe to assume that he was possibly referring to that scene that we saw at the end of it, him being maybe like throughout the season Loki, like the big bad throughout that season.
Oh,
right on. Before I come to you, Eman, I don't even know really who Victor Timely is, but I was looking this up. Mayor, industrialist, inventor, rival to Henry Ford and Thomas Edison. Victor Timely is all these things and more than meets the eye. And if we scroll down, of course, it says, you know, he's related to Kang. In 1901, the brilliant industrialist and inventor Victor Timely founds the town of Timely, Wisconsin. As his first mayor and leader in the industry, he transforms the city into a technological marvel, though his true self acts behind closed doors and lays out the foundation for future conquest. And yeah, this is just talking about, born in the year 2000, and the future reality Earth 6311 came the conqueror. So Eman, like you have any more commentary, my brother, on this post-credit scene and what it leads to Loki?
No, I mean, you know, the fact that if memory serves me right, Victor Timely is just Nathaniel Richards. Like, that's just him when he traveled back in the time and just poses as these other figures. Like, that's kind of like what he does. He will go back or in the future and just live different lives. He'll live different types of lives under different guises, and you know, as a result, this is how his variants also get created. But I do think that this is like, you know, again, Marvel might change it up. So it's one of those things where like you don't want to rely too much on the comics because it might not be easy to absorb. I mean, even in the comics, Kang made no sense. Granted, he is a paradox, right? Like, he is a time paradox in himself, but it was so hard to conceive that they had to like redo his they had to retcon his origin or whatever. So I hope that they kind of sort of simplify it here for us in this one, but the fact that this just tied into Loki season 2, and I do think that he already shot his scenes. I'm pretty sure they did. I'm here for this, and like I said, I mean, this got me excited for Loki. It got me excited for Kang Dynasty. I'm already, you know, Ant-Man 3 is in the rear view mirror at this point.
Yes, sir. I agree.